Today we have with us the all-new Basalt, the Citroen Basalt, which is the coupe SUV from Citroen. And honestly speaking, it's one of the best cars in the market right now, because before I even begin, one of the best statements I can say for this car is that starting at just 8.25 lakh rupees, this is the single biggest car in its segment right now, and it looks absolutely amazing. And not just the looks, but apparently everything in this car is very well thought out. And in this video, I'm going to be giving you a very detailed review of this car, talking about the ins and outs, the detailed features and the quirks that Citroen has given in this car. So without any further ado, let's get started. But before we start with the review, I want to talk a little bit more about Citroën as a brand, because this brand was initially introduced in the year 1919. So it has a legacy of over 106 years, and it is a French brand. Now, Citroën actually comes under the Stellantis group, which is one of the leading automotive groups in the world as of now, which also brings you brands such as Alfa Romeo, Maserati, and much more. Now, the Basalt is actually a very underappreciated car. Reason being, it's a very important car for India. This was the first coupe SUV styled car in the entry-level market, because previous to this, the only cars that were available in the coupe SUV segment were the luxury cars such as the GLC Coupe or the BMW X4 or the BMW X6. This was the first car in its segment in the entry-level market. Now, the reason why it wasn't so well known is because cars such as the Tata Curve were launched within 1 month of the launching of this car, and that car kind of took the entire market by surprise. It was the Tata Curve that got all of the attention, and this just got lost somewhere. But in this video, I want to show you why this is actually a hidden gem of a car, and why I think this is actually one of the perfect Indian roads family car. Now, starting off with the review, I'm going to talk about the design cues of the car first. And starting from the front end over here, first off, the one thing that you see is the Citroen logo, which is a combination of two arrows. Now, the meaning of these arrows and the reason why this logo was incorporated is because Citroen wants to show that they are a company of forward thinking, and their spirit of innovation is integrated within every car they have. So that's the meaning of the Citroen logo, of the two arrows that they have. But other than that, this car, again, being a Citroen car, has the X-Blade characteristics given in this car as well. So as you can see, the DRLs and the headlamps of this car are incorporated within an X, which definitely looks nice. The other thing that I absolutely love is that the front skid plate of this car gives this car a very robust look, and it definitely has that SUV characteristic that I feel a coupe SUV like this car should have. So it sits higher up from the ground. It has 180 millimeters of ground clearance, which is also nice. And in terms of looks, for sure, this car definitely is a head turner, at least from the front. But let's move on to the side and the back to see more about this car. Now, the side profile of this car doesn't have much to talk about, but there are still a few things that I like. For example, the 16-inch alloy wheels that you get, they're diamond cut in nature, and I feel that they are the perfect size, because it strikes the perfect balance for giving you a sporty feel while driving the car as well, and at the same time doesn't become too uncomfortable as well. So yes, that's one thing I like. The other thing that I absolutely love is the floating roof design that they've given to the car. For example, if you see, the entire body line of the car from here to the end over here is red, and even the roof continues to be red, whereas this A-pillar is given in a black finish, which gives this car a little bit of a floating roof design, adding to that stylish and that sporty factor that the Basalt comes with. Now, the rear of this car is by far the most intriguing, and it follows the same design cues as the rest of the car. You again see that robust look. As you can see, the bumper of this car is finished in black along with a silver skid plate, again giving this car a much more muscular feel. Even the tail lamps of this car, as you can see, are a little squared off, which do protrude out of the body lines of the car as well, again giving it that muscular look. And definitely, I can say one thing, that Citroen has well thought out this car when it comes to designing anything and everything. Coming to the interior in this car, the way the interior is built, especially according to the segment that this car comes in, I am actually quite impressed. You get a multifunctional steering wheel, you get a 10.5-inch infotainment display. In front of the driver, you get a 7-inch MID display. The AC vents, the way that they are styled, the way they are integrated within the dashboard, really seamless. This being the top end variant, you obviously get a fully automatic AC control as well, and they are again very well integrated into the car. You get a wireless charging pad in the car. Even the passenger dashboard over here has a very good fit and finish and has some silver elements here and there. So I really believe that even the interior of this car feels quite opulent according to the segment that this car comes in at. And honestly speaking, in my opinion, they couldn't have done anything separately which I would have either liked or disliked. The way that they've done it is just good enough. Now I want to dedicate this segment in terms of the performance and the build quality of the car. Now the Basalt is a very well built car. It has global 4-star NCAP rating, which is great for the Indian roads. And the moment you open any door, or for example if you open the bonnet of this car, you can feel that difference and you can feel that heftiness in the metal that this car has. And except for just using good quality metals, you do also get some safety features, for example ESP or 6 airbags or things such as hill hold even from the base variant of this car, which goes to show how much Citroen has thought while building this car in terms of safety. But in terms of performance as well, this car comes with two engine options. It has a 1.2 liter naturally aspirated engine, and it also has a 1.2 liter turbocharged engine. This, being the top end variant, has the 1.2 liter turbocharged variant, and in terms of power figures, this car can produce 109 horsepower, which if you think about it, for a family car such as this one, is more than sufficient power. Even the 1.2 naturally aspirated engine that you get in the car has 82 horsepower, which again is more than sufficient for any sort of Indian roads. And in case you are wondering, this car does come in both automatic and manual transmissions. Now, starting off with the practicality of this car, we're going to start with the glove box. As you can see, the glove box of this car is fairly standard. You have the space to keep your owner's manual, and it's actually pretty decent. You also have this organization cubby over here to keep some stuff. You get a pen holder over here and another pen holder over here, which is great to see. Moving on to the center console, you have a storage cubby over here, the wireless charging pad over here. You get two cup holders up in the front, and even below the handbrake of this car, you get a pretty deep storage cubby. Now, another storage cubby available in this car is just below the dashboard, given over here above the glove box. Talking about the door pockets, you get a bottle holder over here and a newspaper magazine holder over here. And even in the rear doors, you do get 1 liter cup bottle holders over here. Moving to the rear cabin, you can see you have seat pockets for the passenger and for the driver's side seat. Over here, you get rear AC vents in the car, along with 2 USB charging ports to charge up your phones. Another thing available in this car is a center armrest, which you can pull down for a storage cubby over here, along with 2 cup holders. Now let's face it, you may need a little bit of space inside the car, but the main question is that when you want to travel and you want to go for a long weekend trip with your family, the boot space is what matters the most. And with the Citroen Basalt, it really doesn't matter, because this car has a massive 470 liters of boot space, which is more than sufficient for any sort of weekend trip or even just a long drive where you might be taking some stuff with you. You also do get this cargo cover on top, which is pretty sturdy and also has 2 indentations to keep some stuff organized, one over here and one over here. Now, in terms of features, the Basalt is pretty well packed, and it has all the essential features that I feel every car should have. For example, it has a leather wrapped steering wheel. You get multi-functioning steering wheel buttons over here. You get a 10.5-inch infotainment display over here, which does come with wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. And the display of this car is actually fairly easy to use. It's very responsive, as you can see, and there's no sort of lag, and it's very easy to use as well. I mean, everything is very clear, concise in front of you, and you don't need to fiddle around to figure it out. It's quite easy to use. Similarly, the MID of this car is very informative as well. It's a 7-inch MID, which gives you the outside temperature. It gives you what speed you are in. It gives you the gear that you are in. It gives you the odometer. It also gives you the range, and a leaf over there that actually tells you if you are driving this car in an economical manner or not. So if this leaf is green, you're driving perfectly. If this goes yellow, you could be doing better. And if this leaf goes red, that means that you are doing a lot of spirited driving, and it's not good for the fuel economy of the car. Similarly, even the AC controls, if you see, you get fully automatic AC controls in the top end variant of this car. You get a wireless charging pad over here, and on the other side of the driver's side, if you see, you get your electronic controls to change the ORVMs of this car, you get the button to lock your windows, and you also get the automatic start and stop button over here to get more fuel economy from the car. In terms of the audio system in the car, you get a 6-speaker system. You get 4 speakers in the doors. So over here, and in the back 2 doors. You also get 2 tweeters up front over here, which again is standard according to the segment of this car. Now, one thing that I would like to mention over here is that a lot of people say that this car is missing a lot of features, such as it does not get a start-stop button, it does not get 360 parking cameras and all that stuff, which is true. I do not dispute that at all. But the thing is that this car and Citroen as a brand, being a European brand, is not a very techy car. It functions more on the safety aspect, it functions more on the drivability aspects, and it functions more on the stability and reliability of the car. And when it comes to a brand like Citroen, they have a lot of history to prove that. When you're buying a brand such as Citroen, it's not more of the features, it's more of the peace of mind that you're looking for, which this car can definitely give you. Now, when it comes to comfort in the Basalt, the seats of this car are absolutely amazing. They're very plush. They're a mixture of these leather and fabric seats on the top. They grip me in really well. My seating posture is really nice in the car. Obviously, being the front seats, I can move the seat back and forth. I can adjust the backrest of this car, and I also have the ability to adjust the seat height in this car. So in terms of customization, in terms of anything else like that, the seats are pretty amazing. But the real comfort of this car does not show with the material, or it doesn't show with any of that stuff. It actually shows when you actually take this car out for a drive. And when we do that, I will explain a lot more in detail. But in terms of just the seating experience as such, I don't really see any sort of problems in the Basalt. Moving on to the rear seats is where this car actually also shines, and that is something that I'm very excited to tell you about. Now, the reason why I'm very excited to show you the rear seats of this car is because I am pretty tall. I'm 6 feet 2 inches, and I was just sitting in the driver's side seat as I was just showing you, and I haven't touched the seat at all. I haven't changed the seat position, I haven't changed anything like that. And coming into the rear seats, you can see that I easily have about half a feet 6 inches of legroom in front of me, and even though this is a coupe design, I still have about 1 or 2 inches of headroom, which for a person who is 6 feet 2 inches is just stunning to think about, and it's absolutely amazing the amount of space that they've crammed up into this car. Another fantastic thing about this car is that since I'm pretty tall, my legs are pretty tall, I don't get a lot of under thigh support in many cars, especially in this segment. But the Basalt has thought of that as well. I get under thigh support in the car, which is adjustable according to wherever I want, which is just another thing that they have thought about, and I have not seen in any other car of this segment. One other notable thing in this car is that the rear headrests of this car are just too comfortable. I have sat in cars which are much more expensive than this, or even a higher segment than this, and I don't get rear seat headrests that are this comfortable. That the way that they have curved and the way that they wrap around near my head is just fantastic. I mean, in terms of comfort, really, I am not kidding. This car will blow you away. So behind the wheel of the Citroen Basalt, first impressions, it's a good looking interior. You have a good seating posture. The visibility in the car is not bad at all. The A-pillars of the car are decent size. Looking around them is not a big deal. The ORVMs, the IRVMs, again, decent size, not a big deal over there as well. And one of the things that I actually very well appreciate about the car is that even though this has a coupe design, in a lot of cars I've seen, when they have a coupe design, the rear visibility in the IRVM goes a little low. But not with this car. Looking behind is not a big deal. It's very well thought out, so good, kudos to Citroen over there. But the one thing that I immediately noticed the moment I drove this car for the first time is that the suspension setup of this car is amazing. And I really have no doubts about it as well, because this car, Citroen as a brand, has actually commissioned suspensions for Rolls-Royce as well. So there was one Rolls-Royce car that used Citroen suspension. And the reason for that is because this French brand has really worked on their suspension setup a lot. It's very well tuned. It's soft, yet at the same time good enough to drive a little spiritedly as well. So Citroen actually calls this the flying carpet ride, and I have no doubts about it. I mean, I drive on these roads. I am driving in Chandigarh right now, and I drive on these roads on a daily basis. I drive around 100 kilometers every single day because of the type of work I have. And these roads that I'm driving on right now, I have a very good feel of them. But sitting in this car, driving this car, I can make out the difference. That's how good it is. The smallest bumps are something that you do not even feel. And even if there is a little hefty bump or a pothole in front of me, this car goes through it like nothing else. Especially at this price point, I do not know any other car that can give you as comfortable driving experience as this car over here. Another one of the things that I've actually noticed is that this brand as such is something that is not very popular in India as of now. How I would love for that to change. I would love for people or Indian audience to know what Citroen is, but it's relatively a newer brand. And due to that reason, when we are driving this road, I have actually noticed a lot of people actually turning around to see which car this is. And in fact, there was this two-wheeler a couple of days back when I was driving this car. He stopped me and he asked, "Ki ye kaun sa brand hai?" Now, obviously, when he asked me which brand this is, I told him that it's a French brand, it's new into India. And then he asked me, is this car imported? Now, that's the thing, that Citroën actually manufactures all their car in India. So even though it is a French brand, they're doing all of their manufacturing in India, which is something that is really helping them in terms of keeping the prices low for the car, which is a great thing. And coming back to the point I was trying to make is that this definitely is a head turner of a car. The way it looks, the coupe design that it has, and it being a newer brand in India, people definitely turn around to see which car this is, which is also something that does enhance your driving experience because people are fascinated by the car that you're driving. Now, one of the crazy things about the Basalt is that it's a very good car for the city, and it's a perfect family car, a lot of space, and we've essentially covered a lot of that in the review of this car. But because of the ground clearance that this car has, 180 millimeters, and because of the way it is designed, this car is one of those cars that you can actually take anywhere. And that is exactly what we are here to prove. We're not exactly on the best road of the world right now. It's what you would typically call a village road of India. And not at all paved. A lot of potholes, and since it rained yesterday, so there is a lot of mud everywhere. And so that is why we bought the Basalt over here, and I just want to show you how easily or without a doubt kind of mentality I have while taking this car over here is because I completely trust the car, and I know for a fact that no matter where I am, I can take it out. And so that right there was a detailed review of the Citroen Basalt. Honestly speaking, this car has been built keeping three essential things in mind. Number one, it's built for the Indian roads. For example, it has a high ground clearance, it has extremely good build quality, and it is economical as well. Second thing is the affordability. This car has been priced at a very competitive pricing of just 8.25 lakhs starting price, which according to this segment, and considering the fact that in that price point there is no other car that is larger than this as of now, I think that they've done a good job there as well. And then last but not the least is keeping in mind the Indian mentality and the Indian family needs. For example, this car has a huge amount of space. This car is extremely comfortable. In terms of driving experience, I don't think that anyone can beat the suspension setup or the steadiness when it comes to driving this car even at higher speeds. And then also occasionally, if for example it's a youngster like me driving the car and wants to take this car off for a little bit of an adventure where the roads may not be perfect, as we showed in this video as well, this car is perfect even for that. So when it comes to making a statement for a newer brand such as Citroën in India, I think that the Basalt is the best answer, and I feel that it's a very underrated car for the price and for the features that this car is actually offering you. And that's my conclusion on the Citroen Basalt. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Share this video as much as you can, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel because that gives me so much motivation to create more such content just for you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.